Hi there, I'm Sue Grant from Berthon, and I'm sitting in the main saloon of this amazing Hinckley Sou'wester 51 competition called Momentum, and with me is her owner, Paul Canev.
Pleasure to be here today.
Yeah. So, can you tell me something? We don't see very many Hinkleys on this side of the water. So, can you tell me a little bit about this boat, dimensions, and how many of these competitions there are and so on?
Sure. Hinckley's a small boat builder in Southwest Harbor, Maine. The company was founded in 1928, and at their peak of sailboat production through the 80s to the early 2000s, they built 12 to 14 sailing models a year. The 51 is a McCurdy and Rhodes design. It was first launched in 1985, and most 51s were centerboard boats. Momentum is one of three that they made with deep keels.
And she was built in 93, yes?
She launched in 1993. It was the second Hinckley build for her original owner, and because he had the experience of building a Sou'wester 42, he sat down with all the foremen and the construction team to install the systems and build the boat as a system rather than in a serial fashion. He integrated it all, which gives her systems better access than any sister ship that there is.
And so tell me about the keel, because why did he decide to go for the deep keel?
The original owner liked ocean racing, so
Right, okay.
he crude raced to Bermuda. He did the Halifax race from Marblehead, and with 6 or 8 people aboard in the ocean, he wanted the draft underneath him. The boat's much stiffer with a keel than a centerboard, obviously. The original keel was 9 foot 6 inches.
Wow.
And the boat was quite stiff compared to all sister ships. The second owner, who bought the boat in about 2005, lived in Long Island, and the draft was too deep to put at his dock.
Right.
So they took off the original keel, they melted it down. The same keel maker cast a new one.
And who did the design for that?
Jim Taylor.
Right, okay.
So new keel and new elliptical rudder at the same time. They precisely match the bolt pattern, so the new one went on without a hitch. It's about 1.5 feet longer from front to back. The original keel had not a bulb, but sort of a rounded bottom. The updated keel has a more flared anvil shape to it. And people who've sailed it in its deep original version and its current form can't tell the difference.
Really? And so what draft does that give you?
7 foot 6 inches.
Yeah, because that's much more manageable, isn't it,
Absolutely.
for cruising? Yeah.
It opens the boat up for Chesapeake Bay cruising. There are places you can't go, but there are many marinas at 9 foot 6 inches that you couldn't get into at all.
And just tell me about the dragons. The first. What was the owner? The boat first called?
Momentum.
She's always. Oh, of course, and she changed in her
She
second.
changed with her second ownership to Adrenaline, which was all wrong.
No.
Because I knew her as Momentum, and so did lots of other people. The wife of the original owner, Lynn, liked the Chinese dragon motif, so they're hand-painted dragon sinks, which are still on the boat.
And by the way, they're very cool.
The original main saloon here, the fabric was a black quilted fabric with Chinese dragon hand embroidered, running a circle around all the settees.
Okay. So let's just unpack a little bit this beautiful interior, because it's high gloss cherry.
Yes.
And I think that when I think of Hinckley, I think of amazing build quality. I think of handmade things. And the thing that really interests me about this yacht is that whilst she has quite high-tech construction, they haven't Nomex cored the interior.
No.
It's all real, isn't it?
It's real wood. They're veneers over marine plies. All the radiuses and the fiddles and the custom fiddles, like here at the saloon table, they're all solid hand-worked wood. The floor is teak and holly, not a veneer, so it's solid, about 3/4 of an inch. And they built basically a traditional wood boat inside a modern Kevlar hull.
Yeah, yeah. So can we just talk a little bit about the construction, the Kevlar, and the hull and the actual structure? Because were all the competitions built at that level? I don't think.
Hinckley changed from fiberglass hand layup to Kevlar hand layup in about 92 or 93. And then they went to scrimp construction about 4 or 5 years later.
Right. Okay.
And then they crafted their dual guard construction, which is Kevlar outer skin, carbon inner skin, probably closer to 98 or 99.
Yeah.
So it's a hand layup hull, cored with AirX, and the deck is Kevlar and S-glass.
And wonderful, no teak deck.
No teak deck,
Yeah.
other than the cockpit's all.
Yeah.
The original owner wanted weight savings over the standard Hinckley 51, so he spent a small fortune taking weight out of the boat, and she's 3,000 pounds lighter than any sister ship minimum.
Right. Okay, that's fine. So that's Momentum, and of course she's got two wonderful cabins, 2 heads, this incredible main saloon. You have to see the walkthrough because she is just a little bit special. So, all that being said, why did you buy her?
I fell in love with her the first time I saw her at the dock in Hinckley in '93.
Oh, when she was new?
When she was brand new. She took my breath away. And I was friendly with the original owner and went sailing with him a number of times. So I knew when I was at a stage of life where I could buy her, I was going to. And 2011, she came on the market with her second owner. I had a Hinckley 42 at the time, which in fact the original owner of Momentum sold it to me years earlier.
Oh, wow.
And I saw the boat. She was as I remembered, and I put my boat on the market. It sold in 8 days, and I owned Momentum 24 hours after closing on the 42.
Fantastic. Never a regret.
Not a nano moment, no.
No. And so you cruise quite a lot on your own,
Yes.
or short-handed?
Most of my sailing is short or single-handed. Occasionally my son and fiancé are aboard. So the boat was set up by the original owner to be easy to shorthand. So he put the leisure furl rig on in '99 when he stopped his crude racing, and brought the control lines for that back to cockpit electric winches. I added a wired remote for the main sheet winch, so it's controllable at the helm.
Oh, that's very useful.
Eventually I converted the manual head stay furler to an electric one, for both control and safety. If something happens to me, other people get the sail in. And all the electronics are right at the helm, VHF, radar, and the only thing one has to leave behind the wheel for is to let the main sheet out. One can bring it in from the helm.
Okay. And actually, you've done a lot to her, haven't you?
I've tried to keep her modern.
Yeah. So she's got a new carbon rig.
New carbon rig last year, and in the process of doing that, the 450 pounds came out of the rig, and that was a light 93 rig, but carbon's lighter. And that gave me the opportunity to go up 5 feet on the rig height, not so much for sail area, but to open up the distance between the Genoa furler exit box and then the spinnaker above that, so that the 2 furlers don't get in the way of each other. That said, the extra 5 feet gives about 115 square feet of sail area.
Wow.
So it took a fast boat and made it even faster, especially in light and medium air, where she sails the wind speed.
Right. Okay. So all of that technology is new. Downstairs, the technology is new, and she's very much up together.
She's up to date with all new electronics over the past few years. She has tandem autopilot installations, so if one fails, the other one's right there with a switch. She has a full Occam race package plus Expedition software on the computer, and every light on the boat is now LED.
Right, okay. And so you've kept her on the East Coast, you've sailed her a lot short-handed, but now she's in Leamington Marina in the UK, so Why cross the Atlantic?
One of my bucket list sailing ventures was going to Bermuda, which I did the first time aboard Momentum in 2014. And I've done 5 races since then. And that got my appetite for ocean sailing so high that it was time to cross the Atlantic.
And was it good?
It was extraordinary. It got COVID postponed in 20 and 21, but here I am now. After this year's Bermuda race, a crew of 4, including myself, we sailed direct to Troon, Scotland, and sailed Scotland, Western Islands.
And it didn't rain that much?
Not up there, no.
Extraordinary.
No, it was a breathtaking summer of weather up there. And now I'm down here to enjoy the Solent and the sailing here.
Fantastic. That's great. And so tell me, what do you love most about Momentum?
Momentum is a very high performance 51-foot cruising boat. She's not a race boat, but she races very successfully to her rating when she sailed competitively. But she's a fast cruiser, quite stiff. The carbon rig takes a lot of the unpleasant motion out of the boat and in a confused sea and chop. And the best thing about Momentum is that I run out of courage before she runs out of strength.
That's brilliant. And I know that we were saying before we started this interview that over the weekend and earlier this week we had quite a lot of breeze, and you were off out on your own sailing with Momentum. And I think that for me is the thing. She's not a blue water yacht that you passage plan and then decide to go and you do a passage. She's a boat that when you feel like it, you just throw off the lines and you go just for the joy of sailing. She's
a very easy boat to single hand from once she's off a mooring or a berth. Within 7 or 8 minutes her sails are up and she's sailing.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much, Paul, and do watch the walkthrough and do hear a bit more about Momentum because she is just outstanding.